What is there to do that is allowed in prison? You have to explore all the things that can put your mind at ease while you're there. It took the Virginia Department of Corrections a long time to catch up with the times. But while I was at King Mountain Correctional Center between 2008 and 2011, they phased out the compact disc players and the cassette tape players. People were using the motors in the compact disc and cassette player devices to make tattoo guns out of. And they came out with the very first technology that hit the free world as far as MP3 players. They started us out with the very first one. Even though all the other stuff exists, they started out with the very first one so they could move on to the next and then to the next so they could make all that money they could. Around 2007 to 2008, they also gave us back 13-inch color televisions. They had switched over to 5-inch screen TVs, which was an extreme strain on the eyes. They quit smoking in the Virginia Department of Corrections in 2010, so they knew they had to give us something prior to that, leading up to that, so they didn't have riots. So, point made, you have a 13-inch screen color TV that you can purchase for $237 from commissary to put in your cell to watch. The MP3 players they had are by a manufacturing company called JPay, and they call it the JP5, the JP6. These are MP3 players that, of course, plug into a kiosk in the pod, and you have to plug them in and you have to purchase the music. It's right at like $1.50 a song, and you have to download it to your JP5 player. So far, we got television and we have music. The JP5 players were a real come up in the state because, like, anybody loves music, okay? And the state policy was when we had compact discs and cassette players, you were only allowed to have 12 compact discs or 12 cassette tapes. On the cassette tapes, we would double those up. We'd take two, open them up, splice them, and make one out of two. So we doubled up on them on the low. So along with the JP5 players, music, you also get emailing. But emailing's not free. You know, you have to buy electronic stamps to send emails. Even though it's free out here in the free world, this is what prison is about, money. And inmates are the raw ingredients for this prison industrial complex. One bad thing about the music, however, is that in order to get it, we had to agree to only be able to receive clean versions. All of it was censored clean. But it was doable and was worth it. It was really worth it because, I mean, you could have thousands of songs, you know, versus hundreds. In correctional facilities in Virginia, you're also allowed to order up to 30 magazine subscriptions per month and 2 newspaper subscriptions per month. So you can have those coming in to, you know, read and keep up with the times. They gave us many things to substitute for them taking away tobacco products, but there's something else that they took away that I hadn't spoke on yet, and that is pornography. With all the child porn out there in the world and sexual exploitation, they've done away with pornography in the prison system, period. They used to allow it. They thought it was good for us to have it, but now they have this theory that it leads to inmates being raped and other things. I don't know how that is, but it seems to me when they took pornography out the system is when men started looking at other men in the prisons. Even when they banned pornography, however, we still were allowed to receive nude photographs from our family or friends or whatever you want to call it. But they banned those also and allowed us to order 4x6 photographs of nude women, just nude. No other position or sexual anything, just straight nude photographs of women from commercial vendors. That way they know that they're 18 years old. But really, they don't. They did away with mail. Like, you don't get any mail. You get photocopies of all your mail. Because of all the inmates having their family and friends put Suboxone in the envelopes under the gummy part you lick and inside cards and everything else, they did away with us receiving physical mail. So when photographs and mail comes through the mail processing center, the mail room, they make photocopies of it all and they send us that. We don't get the original stuff that y'all sent us. They also have libraries in the prison where you can go and check out books to read. They have law library where you can go and read law books and check out law material. They have a typewriter there where you can type up your legal work. It doesn't last forever though. They usually have at least two big screen televisions in the pod for people to watch. But of course, like the phones, the gang members run the televisions also. As I just spoke on, there are telephones in the pod, usually around 5 payphones, which you call collect on, or you can call prepaid now. GTL operates the phone system in Virginia, but like I said, the gang members control the phones. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. You cannot walk up to just any phone and grab it and pick it up to use. Specific gang members and affiliations claim the phones. They will charge people. They charge people to use them. That's why I said, with me tattooing, I had it made. If I needed a phone, all I had to do was say the word. One of a number of them would put me on any phone in there. Tattoo man gets anything he wants. There's usually a civilian phone for just regular people that aren't gang members. And so, you can access phones to call your family and friends. Most holidays, the gang members in the prisons allow everybody to use any phone just to keep the peace. There are no cell phones allowed in the prison systems or any other communication devices that aren't controlled by the prison themselves. No cell phones are allowed. People in prison with cell phones are holding those phones illegally. They are not allowed to have them. And you need to be careful when people call you on the prison payphones or if you're in prison using them, because as it was explained to me in 2004 when me and my girl got caught in the visiting room at Nottoway Correctional Center, it was explained to me by Internal Affairs that every phone call is recorded for 10 years. So if you make a phone call today, it's recorded on CD-ROM, and then 10 years from now, it's overlaid, recorded over. Be careful what you say on them phones. No matter how good you are or how nice you think you can trick them with VoIP numbers and three-way numbers and all this call forwarding numbers and all that, they can still pin it down to who's on that phone. Say they got an informant in the pod and they're trying to catch somebody. They could tell the informant, watch this guy. When he gets on the phone, record the time and tell us. So then they go back and they tell the investigator what time you got on the phone. And the investigator gets on there and he listens to every single phone in the pod at that time and he pins it down to you. They got all kinds of tactics, man. You got to be careful. So then in most prisons, they also order games like Scrabble and all types of board games, checkers, chess. They have a whole range of board games. It's usually an inmate's job, somebody in the pod, to manage those games and give them out to people and get them back in one piece. They have plenty of board games to play if you're into that. If you're an artist, there's tons of art supplies you can order. They sell a whole range of art supplies on the commissary through Keefe. If it's an art supply that they don't have on the commissary, they will allow you to order it from a street vendor. They have vocation classes there. While I was there, I took electrician's helper, and I'm now certified as an electrician's helper. So they have all types of vocations. When I left Indian Creek Correctional Center and came home, they were starting up a forklift driving program. I mean, they got drywall at Sussex One State Prison. They got barbering, cutting hair. They got tons of different stuff, man. Plumbing. So there's a whole variety of things that you can do to learn, educate yourself, and just pass your time. You know what I mean? The bad thing about the vocational programs and other programs that occupy time and educate you is that they cater to very short time people. They consider the people that are going home the soonest the ones that are in need of these programs the most. So if you got like over 5 years, they're going to put you on the back burner. They've got a whole range of jobs you can get. Houseman jobs, yard jobs, kitchen jobs, gym jobs, which is a recreational worker. So, there's tons of jobs that you can get and earn 27 cents an hour, 35 cents an hour. That's about it. Some prisons have what they call VCE, which is Virginia Correctional Enterprises. And what it is, manufacturing goods through the state. It's part of the prison. It's a different sector of the correctional system. It's not part of the prison, actually, even though it's in the prison. And you can make up to 85 cents an hour there unless they employ the PI program, which is the prison industrial enterprises, and that pays over $1 an hour. There's tons of things to do in prison, actually. They got medical workers. Somebody has to clean the medical area up, you know what I'm saying, to keep it sanitized and clean. They're very strict on those type of jobs, though. Can't be no sex offender or gunner or any of that type of stuff. Assaults, no. Your record's got to be spotless to get a medical job. And there's good reason. There's many, many very good-looking younger women that work in medical. And so they don't want anyone in there that's going to be tempted to do some stupid stuff, you know? They can't risk any inmates raping somebody up in there. They're not going to do it. So they eliminate that risk by being picky with who they choose to put in there to work. Greensville Correctional Center has an infirmary, and they're very picky about who they let work in there. There's lots of inmates in there that take morphine and other things, and they don't want inmates from the yard going over there buying morphines from them guys, bringing them back out on the yard and selling them, which it goes on anyway, but they try to be picky about it. But even the people with the most squeaky clean records that you could find out there, still, the money in that morphine is way too much of a temptation to resist. And most of them wind up getting caught one day, smuggling it out of there. After they do about 100 runs and bring a whole ton of it out to the yard, you know, they end up getting caught. Then they hire someone else they think is good. Then their whole cycle starts and repeats itself all over again. You got maintenance workers. The prison's got to be fixed on the inside, like when toilets get stopped up or sinks stop working. It's a very good job right there, really good. You move around. Those are usually the guys that move all the contraband back and forth. The maintenance workers, because they move from building to building and pod to pod. They're the only ones really allowed access to go into all the pods. So it's kind of good, though, even if you're not into anything bad, it's good. Some of the maintenance guys we used to joke on, though, man, I'm telling you, man, they're locked in there with us and they talk all this rah-rah gangster stuff about snitching. And then a storm comes and blows the fence outside down, and then they're out there fixing the fence. And if you pick a job like that, you will probably get picked on sooner or later. I mean, you're out there fixing something to help them keep us inside locked up. Most convicts are going to look down on that. One minute, they talking all this rah-rah stuff. The next minute, they're up there installing concertina wire, a.k.a. razor wire. So you also have visitation where your family and friends can come visit you. It got shut down quite a bit during the COVID epidemic, but they opened it back up. And basically, you can go have face-to-face visits with your loved ones. They have video visitation also, and where your people can go to a location out in the world somewhere, and you can actually have like a Skype face-to-face on-screen visit with your people, video visits. They're actually trying to take over out there. Like, some areas are doing away with traditional face-to-face visitation and using only video visits. For one thing, it cuts down on bringing in drugs and things like that into the prison. The prison system looks at it like the video visits are better. But the human rights organizations out there strictly prohibit banning face-to-face visits. They say that it is detrimental to a person's survival out in the free world once they're released as to their level of getting visitation before they go home. It just goes to show that you have people out there, a support system that's going to help you. If people are coming to visit you face to face, then surely you got a support system out there. You know what I'm saying? So the human rights organizations aren't going for it. Now, you can decide and choose whether you want to participate in some things like jobs and vocational programs. But if you're going to collect good time and you're going to go home on your anticipated release date, there are some programs and things that you will be expected to participate in. There's reentry programs and other things that it is a must, that you don't have a choice in it. You have to do it. Or your good time level will go down and you'll spend more time in prison. The best thing of all is they do have outside recreation where you can step out an hour or two a day and get fresh air, play basketball, play softball, run laps, lift weights. You pick your poison, but there's a lot to do. There is literally a lot that you can do inside prison to occupy your mind during the day. That's why I say It's impossible to be lonely during the day because you can get out that door. If you can get out that cell door, you can get out and do things, which occupies your mind. When you're locked in a cell, that's when the loneliness sets in. And let me tell you this before I go. At Nottoway Correctional Center, back in the day, they had what they call a smoker. And it's a real boxing ring. And they would have inmates from other prisons come to Nottoway and box inmates that are at Nottoway. And then after all that was banned and stopped in the 80s, they still had the smoker between inmates at Nottoway Correctional Center, and they always recorded them. So on the weekends, they'll play movies, but sometimes they'll play Old Smokers, a real boxing ring. You can match up with somebody. You have to be in the same weight class and this and that, but you can actually choose to box somebody. Y'all wanted to know some things that you can do in prison, and there is a long list of them right there. I'm sure there's a lot more I can think of, but those right there, they're the main ones. And, they'll get you through it, especially that TV. That TV is amazing. That TV will free your mind, man. I'm out for now. I'll see y'all on the next one.